The old, forsaken military facility loomed in the desolate Russian wilderness, a silent witness to the secrets it harbored. I, along with 4 other unfortunate souls, found ourselves trapped within its decaying walls, subjected to a nightmarish experiment that defied the limits of human endurance. It was 1947, a time when the Iron Curtain concealed the Soviet Union in a shroud of mystery and fear. As the gas stimulant coursed through our veins, the air thickened with tension. The scientists, hidden in the shadows, watched as our once cohesive group descended into madness. The sterile, white walls of our confinement seemed to close in, and the constant hum of the gas stimulant permeated our every waking moment. By the 4th day, the first signs of the experiment's malevolent effects manifested. Whispers echoed through the narrow corridors, an indistinct symphony of tortured souls. Our eyes, once sharp and alert, now held the vacant gaze of souls haunted by unseen terrors.
The 7th day brought guttural cries of terror, faces contorted with dread as we spoke of shadowy figures lurking just beyond the edges of our perception. The scientists, hidden behind 2-way mirrors, exchanged uneasy glances. As the experiment progressed, the facility itself seemed to come alive with malevolence. Unseen footsteps echoed, and ethereal whispers reverberated through the stale air. The scientists began to question the nature of the gas stimulant they had unleashed upon us. On the 12th day, the boundaries between waking and dreaming blurred into a macabre tapestry of nightmares. We could no longer distinguish between reality and hallucination. Desperation clung to our voices like a drowning man clutching at the last vestiges of life. In the heart of the facility, a dimly lit observation room concealed the true horror of the experiment. The lead scientist, cold and calculating, gazed upon the deteriorating sanity of his subjects with twisted satisfaction. He reveled in the chaos he had orchestrated, a puppet master manipulating the fragile threads of our psyches. As the 15th day approached, the line between life and death grew thin. Now little more than hollow shells awaited the inevitable collapse of our tortured minds and bodies. The pristine white walls now bore the macabre graffiti of insanity, a testament to our descent into madness. When the 15th day arrived, the gas stimulant was withdrawn. The facility fell into an eerie silence as the last echoes of tortured wails faded away. The lead scientist surveyed the aftermath of his unholy experiment. What remained of us lay sprawled on the cold floor, our vacant eyes staring into the abyss. The Russian sleep experiment had reached its gruesome conclusion, leaving in its wake a legacy of horror. The secrets buried within the decaying walls whispered of the darkness in the human soul and the unfathomable depths to which humanity could descend in the name of scientific curiosity. The echoes of the experiment lingered, a chilling reminder that some nightmares were not meant to be awakened. My name is Mikhail Ivanov, a retired Russian military officer. I've carried the weight of a dark chapter in our nation's history for far too long, the Russian sleep experiment. The story I'm about to share reveals the horrors that unfolded within the cold, concrete walls of that accursed chamber. It's time the world knows. In the winter of 1948, the Soviet Union, fueled by an insatiable thirst for power, initiated a secret experiment on 5 political prisoners. The objective was to test a new experimental gas that could keep a human awake for weeks without any signs of fatigue. The military believed this gas could create unstoppable soldiers, immune to exhaustion, fear, and weakness. The light underground facility chosen for this heinous experiment was deep within the Siberian wilderness. The grim chamber, a dimly lit, windowless room with rusted metal walls, was devoid of any comfort. The first few days were uneventful. The prisoners showed no signs of fatigue, and our superiors were elated at the apparent success of the experiment. But as the days stretched into weeks, the atmosphere in the chamber changed. Whispers echoed through the cold air, voices emanating from the very walls. The prisoners spoke of shadows that danced along the periphery of their vision, shadowy figures that whispered forbidden secrets and taunted them with glimpses of unimaginable horrors. As the hallucinations intensified, so did the prisoners' descent into madness. Sleep, the elusive refuge of the wary, became their most dreaded enemy.
They pleaded with us, their bloodshot eyes filled with terror, begging for release from the waking nightmare that gripped their tortured minds. One by one, the prisoners succumbed to the relentless assault on their sanity. The first to break was a man named Ivanov. His once steely resolve dissolved into a pitiful whimper. He clawed at his own flesh, convinced that unseen creatures lurked beneath the surface, gnawing at his very soul. The chamber, now a breeding ground for madness, became a symphony of anguished screams and tormented wails. The prisoners, consumed by their own delusions, turned on each other in a frenzied display of violence. Bloodstains adorned the cold, unforgiving walls as the experiment devolved into a grotesque spectacle. Along with my fellow officers, watched in horror as the boundaries between reality and nightmare blurred within that accursed chamber. Our orders were clear: to observe and document the effects of the gas. But the moral toll weighed heavily on our hearts. As the last prisoner succumbed to the darkness, a haunting silence descended upon the room. In the heart of the desolate Siberian wilderness, where the wind whispers through skeletal trees like the lamentations of the forgotten, we discovered the remains of an abandoned research facility, a relic of a darker time. Its decaying structure bore witness to experiments gone horribly wrong. A sinister legend known as the Russian sleep experiment. Our group, drawn to the macabre allure, ventured into the Forsaken facility. Ivan, our stoic leader, Yelena, the skeptic among skeptics, Mikhail, the thrill-seeker, and myself, Anya, the one who believed that some secret should stay buried. The light underground facility chosen for this heinous experiment was deep within the Siberian wilderness. The grim chamber, a dimly lit, windowless room with rusted metal walls, was devoid of any comfort or humor. I stumbled upon a room with faded Cyrillic writing on the door. Experiment S. Nom. The Russian sleep experiment. The air grew colder and the scent of fear thickened. Rusted beds, each with leather restraints, told of horrors that lingered within the walls. The atmosphere pulsed with an unspeakable dread, and beads of sweat formed on our foreheads despite the biting cold. Mikhaili, always the thrill-seeker, chuckled nervously. Well, here we are. Let's see what secrets this place is hiding. The room held an oppressive silence, broken only by the creaking floor beneath our weight. As we explored further, we discovered a hidden chamber adorned with grotesque murals depicting figures writhing in torment, their eyes hollow and filled with unimaginable horrors. In the room's center, a flickering light revealed a tattered journal. Ivan cautiously opened its pages, revealing the harrowing account of experiments that sought to unlock the deepest recesses of the human mind. The last entry described the subject's descent into madness, violence, and self-destruction. The words seemed to writhe on the page, echoing the tortured screams of the unwilling subjects. Unease settled upon us, and Yelena's skepticism waned. We should leave. This place is cursed. Before we could heed her words, the temperature plummeted, and a guttural moan echoed through the desolate halls. Shadows danced in our peripheral vision, and the air thickened with an otherworldly presence. As we hurried to exit, the darkness seemed to swallow the hallway behind us. The group quickened their pace, and a chilling silence was broken by distant whispers that clawed at the edges of our sanity. Did you hear that? Anya gasped. The walls pulsed with an unnatural heartbeat, and the floor quivered beneath us. Suddenly, Mikhail, consumed by madness, turned on us with a wild look in his eyes. We can't leave. We have to stay. His words were poison, infecting the group with a maddening compulsion to remain within the accursed facility. The tight-knit group descended into chaos as paranoia and fear twisted our minds. In the flickering light, shadows contorted into grotesque shapes, and the explorers' faces became masks of terror. Ivan, once the stalwart leader, succumbed to an unseen force, turning on his friends with frenzied violence. The walls absorbed the echoes of our screams, becoming a symphony of madness that resonated through the Forsaken facility. Limbs flailed, blood stained the frigid floor, and the air became thick with the stench of despair. The walls absorbed the echoes of our screams, becoming a symphony of madness that resonated through the Forsaken facility. Limbs flailed, blood stained the frigid floor, and the air became thick with the stench of despair. In the heart of the Russian sleep experiment, the malevolent force reveled in the chaos it had unleashed. The Forsaken facility had claimed yet another group of unwitting victims, its dark secrets eternally bound to the decaying walls. As the last echoes of our tormented cries faded into the desolate Siberian night, the shadows within the facility seemed to dance with sinister delight. The malevolent force had fed once more, its insatiable hunger sated for now. The Russian sleep experiment had claimed new souls to join the legion of the tormented, forever trapped in the icy embrace of its haunted halls.